Hi, everyone. I am back to talk about the stages of grief and loss. So, today I'm going to spend some time talking about the topic of grief and loss. Now, this is a topic that's huge in our society today with the pandemic around the world and the many lives that have been already lost. And in addition, here in Canada, with the senseless shooting act of many innocent victims in Nova Scotia. So this already has a compounding effect on the feeling of grief and loss that all of us are experiencing. So this is a presentation of the 5 stages of grief and loss that was developed by Dr. Elisabeth Kübler-Ross, with the addition of a 6th stage identified by her colleague, David Kessler. Now, I felt that it was very important to include this 6th stage as it focuses on the transition from acceptance, which is the 5th stage, to the stage of finding meaning, which involves moving forward in life after loss. And this is hard to do for sure, but certainly not impossible. Okay, so what are the 5 stages of grief and loss according to Dr. Kübler-Ross? The first is denial. The second is anger. The third is bargaining. The fourth is depression. And the 5th is acceptance. The 6th stage that we're also going to look at, according to David Kessler, is finding meaning. So let's look at stage 1 first. This is denial. So this is the first stage of grief and loss. And basically, this is the stage of shock. So when we experience shock. In this stage, you have a hard time hearing and believing what has happened in your life. This denial is a form of coping so that our brain can basically process something so unbelievable happening to us, so life-changing. You tend to try to hang on to the preferred reality rather than face the actual event of what has happened. Now, I want you to know that this is normal. This is okay. And this is all a part of the grieving stage. Stage 2, anger. Now, this is the 2nd stage that's moving from the reality that you knew, that you lived, to the actual reality of what you're experiencing now after a grief and loss event. You begin to feel all the feelings that were not present in the denial stage. And you become angry at life, angry at God, and possibly even angry at yourself. Your life is forever changed, and you don't like it. You could be thinking such things as, why would God allow this to happen? Life is so unfair. Or why wasn't this me? Just know that anger is an important part of the grieving process. So let yourself be angry, okay, during this time. Stage 3 is bargaining. This is the 3rd stage in the grief and loss process. Bargaining is when we try to negotiate or create a bargain with a higher source. Could be God, creator, or whatever spirituality background you come from. And then even bargaining with yourself. This is a stage where we create a sense of false hope. You could say such things as, if you, such as God, would just heal this, then I'll change my life. Or if she comes through this, I will never do that again. This is a normal stage in the grieving process. We don't feel bad about doing this. And so this is important, that you don't feel bad about doing this. The last thing you need is to be any harder on yourself. So please don't feel bad about doing this in terms of the bargaining. Now, if the person or animal passes, this is where guilt can come in. And we use the what if statements. So, what if I acted sooner? Or what if I just called and distracted them? Again, this is a normal stage of grieving. And as I said, please refrain from being too hard on yourself, because this is something that you've experienced that's difficult, loss is experienced, and bargaining is part of this process. Stage 4, depression. Depression is the 4th stage in the grief and loss process. This is when we realize that our attempts of bargaining didn't work, and when the grief feels so deep and hurtful that we isolate ourselves and prefer to be alone. There's a feeling that no one could ever understand what we're going through, and that there's nothing in the world that could ever take these deep, immense, hurtful feelings away. Again, know that this is a normal stage, and also know that it's time to be around your loved ones, to accept the love and support that they're trying to give you, even if you don't want it. Stage 5, acceptance. Now, this is the final stage in Kubler-Ross's model. This stage is about coming to terms with the loss and that life has really changed, that this loved one is never going to be around you physically anymore, that you may need to take different responsibilities on in your life, and that life now looks different than what it was. This is about the now and the reality of now and what is present in this moment. And finally, stage 6, finding meaning. Now, in this stage 6, this was, as I said, developed by David Kessler, who was a colleague of Dr. Kubler-Ross. He felt that an additional stage should be added, that many of us are in the profession, such as a psychologist or counselor. We call this stage basically closure. I happen to like his title, Finding Meaning, because we're all here to find meaning after experiencing a major loss event in our life. This is very important because moving forward is about evolving. This is the stage where Kessler talks about moving toward our future with love and also being able to honor your loved ones at the same time. So in closing, today we reviewed the stages of grief and loss in detail. I'll be posting another video on some helpful strategies that you can share with a friend, or even that you can use to help with any grief or loss that you're experiencing. I'll also be posting additional videos in this series for children, the developmental stages of grief and loss, and how you can help your child through this difficult and painful process. So thank you for listening, and be well and be safe. Take care.